The first time I saw her in the red gown, I thought it was normal. I thought I knew my wife, Clara, completely. We had been married for 3 years. She was loving, caring, and always punctual. But there was one part of her life I never knew about, her nights. It started subtly. Every night, Clara would sleep in her usual nightgown, the soft pastel dress she always wore. But exactly at midnight, I noticed her. Standing in the living room, or sometimes by the window, she would be wearing a red gown that glowed under the moonlight. I told myself it was a trick of the light at first. Maybe I was imagining it. But after 3 nights, I knew it was real. The red gown wasn't something she wore during the day. Sometimes, she wasn't even in bed at all. One morning, trying to sound casual, I asked, "Honey, sometimes I see you in a red gown at night. By morning, you're in something else. Why the change?" She froze. I could see her hesitation. Then she laughed softly, masking something. "Me? A red gown? Come on, honey. You worry too much. I've told you before, I don't even like red." She hugged me tight, smiling, but there was something in her eyes, a shadow I couldn't place. That night, I decided I would stay awake and catch her. I sat in the living room, pretending to read. The clock ticked past 11, my heart pounding. By midnight, I dozed off. When I woke, she tapped me gently, smiling. "Honey, it's 6 a.m. already." I couldn't remember falling asleep. That's when the worry turned into obsession. The next few nights, my curiosity grew. I tried every method, locking doors, hiding, even staying awake with coffee, but nothing worked. And every morning, she would greet me as if nothing had happened. Finally, I devised a plan. If I could find that red gown before midnight, I would uncover her secret. I took her out to her favorite movie house that evening. Clara was completely engrossed in the film, laughing at every scene. I watched her, heart racing. She didn't notice my glances or the nervous twitch of my hands. "Honey," I said casually, "do you want ice cream after the movie?" Her face lit up. "Of course. You know I can't say no." I smiled, pretending to head out for ice cream, but instead, I drove home, straight to the wardrobe. My hands shook as I searched frantically, tossing aside clothes. Then I saw it. Tucked deep at the bottom, a flash of red. My fingers trembled as I reached for it. And then, a voice behind me. "What are you searching for?" I froze. It was Clara. This time, she wasn't smiling. Her eyes glowed with something I had never seen, fear, sorrow, and perhaps danger. I held the red gown behind my back, unsure of what to say. "Clara, what is this? Why do you wear it?" She stepped closer, her voice low. "You shouldn't have seen that." Before I could respond, she pulled the gown from me with surprising strength. Her fingers grazed mine, and a chill ran through me. "It's not what you think," she whispered. I stared at her. The room felt colder. "Then, explain it." Clara sighed, looking away, her eyes glistening. "It's complicated. Something I've kept secret since before we met. That gown, it chooses me. Every night, I have to wear it, and I cannot control it." I felt my heart race. "Choose you? Control it? What are you saying, Clara?" She shook her head. "You can't understand, not yet. Just know, if I fail to wear it, terrible things happen." That night, I stayed awake again, determined to understand. Midnight came, and Clara's bedroom remained empty. My heart pounded. I tiptoed toward the living room and froze. There she was, in the red gown, standing under the moonlight that streamed through the window. Her face was pale, her eyes distant. She whispered words I couldn't comprehend, her hands moving in strange, fluid motions. Suddenly, a gust of wind slammed the windows. Objects in the room shook violently. I stumbled back in fear. Clara didn't notice. She continued murmuring, her gown glowing faintly red in the darkness. By morning, she returned to her normal self. Smiling, hugging me, pretending like nothing had happened. I couldn't sleep. My mind raced. I needed answers. Over the next week, I searched for clues. Old diaries, books, anything that could explain the red gown. I discovered old legends of women bound by a midnight curse, a gown that must be worn to maintain the balance between the living and something else, something dark. The more I read, the more terrified I became. Could Clara be cursed? Or was it something even more sinister? I tried talking to her again. Clara, you need to tell me everything. I can't live in fear like this. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. If I tell you, you might never look at me the same way. It's not safe for either of us. Her words only fueled my obsession. The following night, I couldn't resist. I waited in her bedroom, hiding behind the curtains. Midnight struck, and the temperature in the room dropped. Clara rose from bed, her body moving almost as if possessed. She stepped into the living room, and there it was, the red gown appeared on her, as if summoned by some unseen force. She began chanting in a language I didn't recognize. Suddenly, the lights flickered, shadows danced along the walls, and I felt a pressure in my chest. Fear gripped me, but I couldn't look away. Then, just as suddenly, it ended. The gown vanished. Clara blinked, as if waking from a dream. She smiled at me, but I knew. I had witnessed something beyond human comprehension. I couldn't wait any longer. I confronted her the next evening. Clara, I saw you. I saw what the gown does. Why didn't you tell me? She looked at me, her face filled with sorrow. Because I wanted to protect you. That gown, it's older than both of us. It has power, and it demands obedience. If I resist it, it will consume me, maybe even you. I stepped closer. We can face it together. Whatever it is, we face it. Don't shut me out. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Together. But it will not be easy. That night, we prepared. Candles lined the room, and ancient symbols were drawn on the floor. Clara explained the steps, teaching me chants and gestures. I watched, terrified and fascinated. As midnight struck, she donned the red gown. I held her hands. Her voice trembled as she recited the words. The air shimmered, and a cold wind swept through the room. Shadows emerged, swirling around us. I could hear whispers, some threatening, some pleading. Clara stood firm, chanting louder. I repeated the words, unsure if I was helping or worsening the situation. Finally, a bright light filled the room. The shadows dissipated, leaving silence. The gown's glow faded. Clara collapsed in my arms, exhausted but smiling. After that night, Clara finally revealed the truth. She was the guardian of a supernatural balance, bound by the red gown to keep dark forces at bay. The gown chose its wearer and demanded obedience at midnight. If neglected, it could unleash chaos. I listened, awestruck. The woman I married, the woman I thought I knew, was part of something ancient and powerful. We spent weeks learning, practicing, and understanding. The fear remained, but so did a bond deeper than love, trust, and shared secrets. Life didn't return to normal. Clara still wore the red gown at midnight. But now, I was prepared. I stood by her side, guiding, supporting, and sometimes chanting with her. The gown was no longer a mystery to fear, but a shared responsibility. And though danger lingered in the shadows, we faced it together, night after night. The woman in red at midnight was no longer a secret. She was my wife. And now, I knew everything about her, almost everything.